Morning, everybody.
How judges around the country think about antitrust and big tech. Wednesday said, quote, "That's going to be a very important decision," end quote. If Google isn't there, it could try to get the matter before the Supreme Court. However, Google fares in any appellate court, the judges will be grounded, like Meta's, in the body of antitrust law that has grown up over more than 130 years. U.S. lawmakers have periodically proposed updating legislation to specifically address new internet technologies. Such efforts have never drawn enough backing to pass into law. End of article.
You were just listening to the Tech Hour. Thank you for listening, and please stay tuned. Hi, my name is Billy, and today I'll be giving you the weather for the Talking Information Center. This evening will be a 20 to 50% chance of showers with degrees of around 68. Sun rose today at 6:09 a.m. The sun will set today at 7:19 p.m. And the sun will rise tomorrow at 6:10 a.m. That's all the weather I have for today. We're really giving you the weather for the Talking Information Center. Have a wonderful evening. This is the Talking Information Center, a window to independence through local volunteers reading over 300 newspapers, magazines, and books specific to your community.
Now available on your smart speaker by saying, play radio station Talking Information Center.
For comments and more information, call 781-834-4400 or visit ticnetwork.org.
Thank you for listening.
WBF Middleboro, WRS Middleboro, WRSLP Pittsfield, WLLO Londonderry, WBAO Athol, WDJM Framingham.
Broadcasting live from the Taunton Federal Credit Union Studios at 14 Church Green, we are AM 1530, WBBF, Middleboro, Taunton, and W259DD, Middleboro Center, 99.7 FM, your hometown radio station. The opinions expressed on this program.
Why did I hit that? I didn't want to hit that.
Do not express the views
That's
of
fine.
WBBF ownership or Hometown Talk Radio. Content aired on
Moving
all
on.
programs are those of the host and their guests.
Sure, I hit that. Didn't need to hit that. Moving on.
News this hour from townhall.com. I'm Rod Taylor. The family of Israeli-American hostage Hirsch Goldberg Poland says he has been killed in the Gaza Strip. The family issued a statement early Sunday, hours after the Israeli army said it had located bodies in Gaza. Reporter Bernie Bennett has more.
A statement reads, quote, "With broken hearts, the Goldberg Poland family is devastated to announce the death of their beloved son and brother, Hirsch. The family thanks you all for your love and support and asks for privacy at this time." Goldberg Poland was one of the best-known hostages, as his parents had met with world leaders and pressed relentlessly for their help. Last month, they addressed the Democratic convention where the crowd chanted, "Bring them home." Israel's announcement will likely bring urgent new calls for Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu to reach a deal to bring home the remaining hostages. The Israeli leader has taken a tough line with negotiations and repeatedly said that military pressure is needed to bring the hostages home. Upon hearing the announcement, President Joe Biden, who had met with the parents, said he was devastated and outraged. Bernie Bennett, Washington.
Also at srnnews.com, passengers who bought cabins for a 3.5-year round-the-world cruise have been waiting months for the vessel to depart.
V&V Residence's Odyssey was due to sail in May, but has been stuck in Belfast undergoing repair work. The ship is scheduled to visit 425 ports in 147 countries on 7 continents. Cabins start at $99,999. Passengers say they've enjoyed their time in Belfast, but they're ready to set sail for shore. The company says repair work is almost finished and the Odyssey should finally set sail next week. Keith Peters reporting.
Officials say a juvenile suspect is in custody for allegedly shooting San Francisco 49ers wide receiver Ricky Pearsall in the chest during an attempted robbery in San Francisco. Police Chief Bill Scott says Pearsall is in stable condition after he and the suspect were transported to a hospital on Saturday. You'll find news and analysis at townhall.com. I'm Ron Taylor.
Well, summer is upon us and the weather is beautiful. Everyone has a favorite outdoor activity. Golf, bike riding, bird watching, long walks. Ask 100 people and you'll get 100 answers. But if everyday aches and pains are keeping you on the sidelines, I have one answer: Relief Factor. Relief Factor is a 100% drug-free daily supplement that helps your body fight pain naturally. Developed by doctors, Relief Factor uses a unique formula of natural ingredients. It doesn't just mask pain, it helps reduce or even eliminate it. Wherever you're hurting, back, neck, joints or muscles, in 3 weeks or less you'll start to feel the difference all day, every day. So whatever you like to do, swimming, pickleball, hanging out in the garden, Relief Factor can help you feel good again and let you enjoy all your favorite outdoor activities all summer long. ReliefFactor.com, 1-800-4RELIEF, 1-800-473-5433. Fight pain naturally with Relief Factor.
Good
A
morning,
new report
Joe.
from Columbia University's Anti-Semitism Task Force describes a hostile climate for Jewish and Israeli students.
No, it was just, I think it was just pushed back.
Training and better
No, you
reporting
can use it.
measures.
Use Reddit.
Comes days before the start of a new school year and in the wake of
Good morning, Joe. Great show the other night. Yes, absolutely.
Who's that,
Pat, yep.
Were served from Jewish students who described being ostracized from student groups and subjected to harassment. The report also recommends broadening the definition of
Billy's app isn't
anti-Semitism and the
working.
ways it can manifest. Keith Peters reporting.
An inflation
Send him another
measure
one.
closely
Yeah,
tracked by the Federal Reserve remained low last month, extending a trend of cooling pricing increases
We got another minute
that
left?
clears the way for the
About a
Fed to
minute.
start cutting its
You
key
think
interest
minute and a
rate
half.
next
Send
month, the
him
first
out.
time in
On my
4.5
phone?
years.
I don't have
Prices
time.
rose just 0.2% from June to July, basically up a tick from the previous month's
I don't wanna be
0.1%
rushing
increase. Breaking
to
news
do
and
it
analysis
here.
at townhall.com. A politically active New York businessman has admitted to a multi-million-dollar
do it?
pandemic loan fraud.
Prosecutors say
What?
some of the money
My
went to
radio, yeah,
Democrat Hormoz
That's
Mansouri's campaign coffer for an unsuccessful bid for a county office. Court records
Can I just
show
send
he
that?
did
Just
plead
like-
guilty to
Can
federal
I send
bank
them
fraud
just like
and
a text?
fraud conspiracy charges.
Maybe.
He reportedly admitted
I
in
don't-
court
I don't know
he
how that
inflated
works.
his
Maybe.
business payroll cost and employee numbers on federal pandemic relief loans applications. The indictment shows Mansouri reaped about $3 million in all, and some $200,000 of that went to his campaign account. Jason Walker reporting.
Pope Francis is making the longest, farthest, and most challenging trip of his pontificate when he goes to Asia and Oceania this
You
week.
can go on the
He will
computer.
walk 20,390 miles
You
by
can.
air during his September 2nd to 13th visit. More stories at townhall.com.
He
I'm Ron
wants to
Taylor.
do it that way.
The opinions expressed on this program are those of the host and do not express the
You can
views
go on
of
the computer,
WDDF
type in
ownership
WDDF,
or Hometown
laptop,
Talk Radio.
and you'll get it.
Content aired on all programs are those of the host and their guests.
Alright, blue mic, that's up. Your yellow mic,
Hey, Joey, what's happening?
yellow mic.
I mean, what's happening in Middleboro and surrounding towns?
Oh my God.
It's
Oh
time
my
for
God.
the Middleboro Week in Review with your host, Joey Driscoll. Stay tuned for news, Middleboro news, here on AM 1530 WVBF.
show, right?
Hey, Joey,
Oh, yeah.
what's
Oh,
happening?
yeah. Definitely. Hold on. And good morning and welcome to Middleboro in Review. I am Joey Driscoll. Today is September 1st. Wow, September already. It's already about 20 days before the end of summer, unfortunately. But it is today the beginning of meteorological fall, so nice.
Yeah.
Yeah. Nice. Anyway. Anyway, we have a lot of great things to get to today. Later on the show, the second half of the program, Denny Harmon will be calling in from the Distant Signals YouTube channel around 7:35 or so. He'll be calling in after our 7:30 news break. During the first half of the show, we got a lot to get to. Blood drives, several local events going on. So we got a lot to get to with that. And we have some pretty exciting news. Me and Dawn went to a concert this week, and we'll be talking about that in just a moment. So, and it was a pretty big one as well, pretty big concert. Two pretty big bands, I would say. Not a huge deal, You can sense my sarcasm when I say not a huge deal. It was a massive deal. Two massive bands. Massive bands. And
the big kahuna.
Yes, pretty much.
Top of the line.
We'll be talking about that in just a moment.
VIP pocket. All that good stuff.
Take your guesses as to who I'm talking about when it comes to the two bands, but we'll divulge that information in just a moment. But we have our weather. Let's do the weather. 71 degrees right now. A high of 79 right now. Rain in the forecast for Middleboro. 64 for the low. 80 tomorrow. And really, I don't believe this low. 48 degrees for the low tomorrow night. Very cool tomorrow night. So definitely keep an eye on that. The temperatures are starting to drop at night. So definitely keep an eye on that. For sure over the next couple of nights. But pretty nice week. No rain in the forecast Monday through Friday. No rain at all. Rain does return next weekend. However, in Taunton, 79 degrees for the high today. Right now it is currently 71. Rain in the forecast, low of 64. High of 80 tomorrow. Pretty nice week. No rain in the forecast at all in Taunton. Driscoll, Texas. 78 degrees with a high of 95 today, low of 77. And it's pretty much the best day of the week because the rest of the week will be rainy. Mostly in the upper 80s to low 90s. And rain in the forecast with Tuesday, possible thunderstorms involved there. But the next weekend looks pretty good for Driscoll, Texas. Driscoll, North Dakota. 76 degrees today for the high. 47 right now currently. And the temperatures are for Driscoll, North Dakota are very they swing wildly this week. Today will be 76, tomorrow will be 85, Tuesday 91 with a low of 65. And then on Thursday, a high of 70 with a low of 46, not 36, 46. Friday could almost get into the 30s on Friday night. But some weird temperatures in Driscoll, North Dakota this week. But as we get closer to fall, Driscoll, North Dakota gets closer to winter. As I have mentioned several times here on the show, during the winter, Driscoll, North Dakota gets pretty cold. But there is your weather for today. Let's do blood drives real quick. Blood drives very, very important as the Red Cross has announced recently, I think this was either last week or the week before, that their blood drive, that their blood supply is at a low level. And they're looking for blood donations. So, upcoming blood drives for September are as follows. Wednesday, September 4th, 2024 at the Holy Cross Church. That's at 225 Purchase Street and Southeastern, 2 p.m. to 7 p.m. for that blood drive. Monday, the 9th of September, 4 Precinct Street, Lakeville, 1:30 p.m. to 6 p.m. for that blood drive. Thursday, the 19th of September, is going to be at the Emerald Square Mall. That is located at 999 South Washington Street, Route 1 in North Attleboro, 11 a.m. to 4 p.m. for that blood drive. And sometime during the month, this month, we'll have some more information on what's going on with October and blood drives. So stay tuned for that. That should be coming very soon as well. But that is your blood drives for today as well. And finally, our Today in History, before we get into our fun news of the day here. But we have our Today in History is 1774. Massachusetts Bay colonists rise up in the bloodless powder alarm. 1897. The Tremont Street subway opens in Boston Dawn, becoming the first underground rapid transit system in North America.
First subway of America. That's pretty... I know England had it. I know London had it since 1869. But I know the builder went to England several times, London mostly, it was in London, to see how they did it. And 1869, London opened theirs, but it was steam. So, I mean, everyone was just a mess. People were choking on steam, and they were filthy and stuff like that. So they had to figure out a better way other than running steam underground, because it's just the ventilation wasn't adequate. So, so, I mean, you talk, 20-something years later, or 69, 70, you're talking almost 30 years later, now you had electricity invented, and you can run these. It's funny, Boylston Station, there's 2 vintage trolleys that are parked there at Boylston. I believe it's Boylston Station, where you can look out and take a look at it. They've been there for years. So, it's pretty exciting. Yeah, Boston's number 1 on that.
All right, we have our next Today in History, 1939. During World War II, Germany and Slovakia invade Poland, beginning the European phase of World War II. Some say this is the beginning of World War II. Some say this is just another battle in World War II. The reason I say that is because the Sino-Japanese war was going on at that point between China and Japan, and the Marco Polo Bridge incident. Some historians say that is the beginning of World War II. That's the beginning of that conflict, and that's the beginning of World War II. Some historians say that. Some historians say, of course, that Germany invading Poland is the beginning of World War II. But September 1st, 1939, Germany invades Poland.
You kind of have to look at the Japanese perspective, because World War II technically didn't end until September.
No, yeah.
I think it was September. Wasn't it September 1st that they surrendered? Or the 3rd or something?
I think it was right around there.
Yeah.
That they did surrender. But yeah, it was... they were at war for 12 years. They were at war for 12 years at that point. That particular conflict had started many years before 1939. So it depends on what historian you're listening to when it comes to when the start of World War II did occur. But all right, that is your Today in Histories. Now you got the birthdays. 1923, Rocky Marciano, American boxer from Brockton, Massachusetts. And a very important figure in Brockton, Massachusetts. 1933, Conway Twitty, American singer, songwriter, and guitarist. Passed away in 1993. Listen to some of his music. He's very, very, very good. Passed passings on this day. Jerry Reed, Don.
Oh.
American singer, songwriter, guitarist, and actor.
2008.
2008. Passed away on this day in 2008.
Jerry Reed's awesome.
Yeah. Yeah, he was. Passing away 1 year ago today, Jimmy Buffett, American singer, songwriter, musician, author, and businessman. Amazing musician. Cheeseburger in Paradise, Come Monday. Just so many great songs.
Well, you talking just the other day about how Toby Keith and Jimmy Buffett died within a few months of each other?
Yes, they did. I think
they
it was
worked
just... Yeah, they worked together. I think one of the last things Jimmy Buffett did. Jimmy Buffett did. I think Toby Keith did a couple of other things.
What, that last
after
song,
that.
Sailboat for Sale?
Yeah, I think that might have been one of the last things Jimmy Buffett did during that time. But I'm not sure.
I think he worked right up to the end.
Yeah.
I think he was torn right up to the end.
He was touring right up to the end.
Yeah.
I remember
you have to think of it that
he
way.
had a concert in, I think, December 22 here in Boston, right around Christmas time, I think it was, that he had to cancel. So there's that as well.
Right.
But that is your Today in History. Birthdays, passings today. We're going to take our first commercial break right now. When we come back, we're going to talk about our great Wednesday evening me and Don had with a couple of our friends, and we're going to talk about that in just a moment here on Middleboro in Review on 1530 AM, 99.7 FM. We'll be right back.
Eric's coming in tomorrow, right?
Yes.
Spark Street Auto Body, located
I'll mention that,
Spark Street in
before
Broadway,
the
Massachusetts, offers the highest quality
7:30
collision
break.
repair and complete auto service for your car. They are a direct repair shop for all major insurance companies. You should reach them at 508-583-1495. They are open Monday through Thursday, 8 to 5, and 8 to 4 on Fridays. Call them today. You will not be disappointed. 508-583-1495.
Hi, this is Tony Lopes here to remind you of our local talk show lineup. Coffee with Tony airs every Tuesday, Wednesday, and Friday at 9 a.m. And my good friend Ron Lancaster takes over every Monday and Thursday at the same time. Local talk radio, great guests, and your calls. Heard here on AM 1530 and 99.7 FM WVBF, your hometown radio station.
Combat Veteran Motorcycle Association is an association of combat veterans from all branches of the United States Armed Forces who ride motorcycles as a hobby. Our mission is to support those who have defended our country and freedoms. Our focus is to help veteran care facilities provide a warm meal, clothing, shelter, and guidance, or simply to say thank you and welcome home. We have members from nearly all 50 states and living abroad. Many members continue to serve in our armed forces, with several serving in combat areas now. We sponsor and or participate in many motorcycle-related charity events each year, and as a nonprofit organization, donate to various veteran care facilities and veteran charities. To learn more about the Combat Veteran Motorcycle Association and how you can join or support, please visit cvma2-2.org.
Here we go. 3, 2, 1, 0. And we're back as I turn down the bumper music. There we go. Took me a second there. Got it. All right. It is 7:22 a.m. And before we take our news break and before we talk to Danny Harmon, which will be coming up after our 7:30 news break at about 7:35, we're talking with him. We're going to talk a little bit about Deep Purple and Yes. There you go. There's our little there's our major surprise there that we teased at the beginning of the show.
Yeah,
but
the venue was Guilford,
venue was
New
great.
Hampshire.
Bank of New Hampshire Pavilion in Guilford, which is on Lake Winnipesaukee.
I'll tell you one thing about that place.
It's really good.
Talk about having their stuff together. Oh
Yes.
my God. It was so clean. The bathrooms were clean. The porta potties were clean. There was no litter everywhere. Getting into the parking lot. My friend Pat bought the tickets, so he got what they call the VIP parking, which was like smooth, like seamless. Coming in, coming out. They had a plan. It's not like the place down the street and Great Woods there or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
That's just you waiting in the parking lot for years to get out. It seems like, but
Yeah.
it was such a great venue. The acoustics was good. Everything was good about the place.
Oh, yeah.
And
Acoustics were perfect.
Oh, it was awesome. It was just a great place to see a show. I'll definitely go back there.
So Yes opened up. They were the first ones on. They opened up. With Machine Messiah, which I've never heard before. A lot of these songs I've never heard before. I am a Yes fan. I know some of their songs. Like,
Oh, you can't call yourself a Yes fan. You're a Yes.
I'm a Yes.
Listen to Yes sometimes.
I listen to Yes. Yes, I am a Yes listener.
You're a Glenn Hughes fan. You're a Queen fan. You're not a Yes.
I am a Yes listener.
You're a Deep Purple
Okay,
fan.
we'll say that. Okay, I am a Yes listener.
Yeah.
I've listened to the third album, which is the big one.
Yes.
That's the big, huge,
Right.
major album.
The
This is the second album.
the last original.
I think it's just Closer to the Edge. That's the album I'm talking about.
Right.
I think it's the second album.
The original person left is Steve Howe
Yes.
on guitar. He was pretty really.
Steve Howe is amazing.
Yeah.
He was amazing on that
But
show.
they have had so many lineup changes that it's just they're all like big happy family kind of thing.
The song that I came away really being hooked on, and I've been listening to it ever since the show, was Going for the One. That was a song, the title track, off of their 1977 album, Going for the One. Very good album. I've listened to some of the tracks on there since the show. I've listened to, of course, the title track. Amazing show. Amazing show. This show on Wednesday, amazing songs that Yes played. Roundabout, of course. I know Roundabout. They played
And,
that.
All Good People. Steve starts out with a mandolin, which was cool.
Yes, I've seen All Good People.
Yes,
that was a very good song there.
Oh my God. It was,
as well.
Yeah, what a great show. Like I said, that place was a really good place to see a show. The acoustics were great. Yeah.
So, and they opened for Deep Purple, and I would call myself a Deep Purple fan. I've listened to pretty much every album. Not every single song that Deep Purple's ever made, but pretty much all the albums.
Yeah.
They opened up with Highway Star, which is a perfect opener.
Right.
Absolutely perfect opener. They did a lot of songs off their newest album, which is called Equals One. Very good album, by the way. Check it out. It's the first album with their new guitarist, Simon McBride, who is very, very good. Replacing
Steve Morse.
Yes, there we go. Replacing Steve Morse, who had retired from the band.
Anybody who knows Deep Purple, they go by Marks, like Mark 1, Mark 2, Mark 3. Now, this particular band with the new guitarist is Mark 9 Deep Purple.
9.
I mean,
9.
it's too long to explain all the different players and different lineup changes, and then Mark 2 has come back a couple times or whatnot. But Ian Gillan, lead singer, Roger Glover, bass, Ian Peace, drummer. Those pretty much people you know. Don Airy on keyboards. He's been with the band since 2003, and then Simon McBride. And they just put a brand new album out last month on July 19th called Eagles One, like Joey said. And it's an unbelievable album.
I like how they handled Anya. Anya is the one of the major songs off of the last album with
Richie Blackmore.
Yeah,
The Battle Rages On.
The Battle Rages On, which is a great album.
Yeah. So now you got technically four guitarists who've been in Deep Purple.
Yes.
You have Richie Blackmore, Tommy Bolin, Joe Satriani.
If you want to count Joe Satriani,
well,
yes.
He's technically Mark 6.
Yes.
He's Mark 6.
Technically, if you want to count
it was a tour, but you can find some live stuff on YouTube.
Yep.
and then you have well, now 5 really if you think about it, because you got Steve Morse, and then
did several songs off the first Ian Gillan lead vocal album, which is in rock. They did "Lazy," which is an awesome song.
Yeah, it's funny too. They got a song on the new album called "Lazy Sod," so they did "Lazy Sod" first.
Yeah,
and then it's funny. Ian Gillan is so tongue in cheek when it comes to talking on.
Oh yeah,
he's such fun, and actually it's only the second time I seen him with Deep Purple, and I seen him. Ian Gillan, he backed up Black Sabbath in 1984, back in years ago. But I've seen Ian Gillan 3 times. That's all the times I've seen him. But it was a great time.
Absolutely great
my friend
time.
Mark, my friend Patrick. Great times. It's good to see old friends. We've seen shows together, and it's always good to get together with friends. It's important to get together with friends.
Absolutely.
Even though it's kind of the drive, and it seems like such a pain to get to it. But once you're there and you plant yourself in front of the stage and you listen to the songs and you're just in awe for the 2 hours. And they played for 2 hours. They played from 9 to 11. They played right up to 11 o'clock. It's worth a while. So, anytime you think about going to a show and you think it might be too much of a pain and the money and whatnot, you get there, it's worth it.
It is.
Because on the way home, I drove. I was the driver, designated driver for everybody. I drove home, and I was just singing in my head the whole way back. And so, I mean, it was such a great show. So,
all right, it's 7:30. We're going to take our 7:30 news break, and when we come back, we'll have Danny Harmon of the Distant Signal YouTube channel calling in just a few minutes. So stay tuned for that. We'll be right back.
This hour from townhall.com. I'm Michael Herring. Election day is in November, but early voting begins this month. White House correspondent Greg Cluxton reports.
At the end of this week, the first mail ballots get sent to voters, and early in-person voting will start as soon as September 20th in some states. The first batch of ballots typically sent out are ones to military and overseas voters. Under federal law, that must happen at least 45 days before an election, which this year is September 21st. But some states start earlier. North Carolina will begin sending mail ballots to all voters who request them this Friday. Greg Cluxton, Washington.
Israel says it has recovered the bodies of 6 more hostages in Gaza. They include a young Israeli-American man who became one of the most well-known captives held by Hamas as his parents met with world leaders and pressed for his release. Hirsch Goldberg Poland, who was 23, and 4 other of the hostages were seized by terrorists at a music festival during Hamas' October 7th attack that triggered the war on Gaza. The leaders of France's main liberal coalition are accused.
All right. Good morning. Is this Danny?
Good morning. How are you doing, Joey?
How you doing, Danny? How are you?
Good.
morning, Danny. How are you doing?
Hey, John. How's it going?
How's everything? All right?
Yeah. Just my iPhone and my iMac are having a little fun having the AirPods this morning, so just a little convincing to get that to working right. But
Yeah. All right. Yeah. That's good. Yeah, the weather's nice up here. I mean, it's perfect weather now for us up in Massachusetts. It's still hot down there?
oh yeah,
Yeah.
it's still pretty hot. Not as bad as it has been. It definitely felt a twinge of fall in the air yesterday, but let me fall like it dropped slightly below 90.
Okay.
But it was a lot drier yesterday, but we're back to 80% chance of rain today.
Yeah, I'm sure all this hot weather's been hampering your effects to get out to the rails. It's just way too hot to be out there, I bet, right?
Well, I mean, I spend most of my time sitting in the truck, waiting for trains, and when they come, I get out and shoot them. So
yeah,
that's kind of how I have to operate now. I can't do those long excursions like I used to in the summertime. So
Yeah, well, you do a lot, still do a lot of driving. You know, the driving is must get to you. I drive for 11, so sometimes I can drive a lot, but then sometimes the driving gets to me. I don't want to do no driving. I just want to sit at home. You know,
it just gets old. I'm telling you. You know, I've noticed that more in the past year than I ever have before. The driving just gets old because, you know, to get out of Tampa to any significant railroad areas these days, which we kind of Bone Valley is pretty quiet these days. Any place else that's going on the S line or even the A line over there, that's a drive. You know, that's a drive. It's usually like 40 minutes of driving just to get out, you know, to the interstate, you know, the part of the interstate where the railroad is, and then, you know, if you're going to go up to any place like Wildwood, I mean, that's an hour, you know, Baldwin's 3 hours. It's an all-day thing. This business is just going out for a couple of hours in the morning, like I used to.
Yeah.
I do that anymore.
Yeah. Yeah. When you do come up next year or whenever you decide to come up, you'll see a lot. You'll get a lot of action right off the bat. I mean, the Northeast Corridor. You know, that's going to be your bread and butter as far as any filming coming up here is passenger train because we get plenty of those and plenty of schedules.
Yeah.
And then, you know, you might see a freight on the Albany line up there. I know you want to go to Palmer, where they got like a restaurant there, but that's a good train viewing spot. A place called, you know, so yeah.
That's a really good spot.
Yeah, they have good food there too. You know, that's a place.
Yeah. That definitely sounds like the main objective for trip one anyway.
Yeah, I mean, you want to get some trains and whatnot, but I mean, a Northeast Corridor, you got all sorts of fun on the Northeast Corridor, MBTA, you know, so
yeah,
maybe some Connecticut transportation, CT Rail for sure, you know what I mean? You know, and yeah, Valley Flyer maybe, and then MBTA and whatnot. So yeah, so it's all good, you know. What's back on, Joe?
Yes. Okay. All right, here we go. Okay. All right, here we go. Oh, headphones. Yep.
Yeah, you'll need those.
Yep. Oh, you see that? Like that. Perfect.
Turn
Is
it
that
on.
Got it? You good? All right.
No, it doesn't work.
You gotta turn your volume up. That's why.
It doesn't work, no.
Hmm. Oh, well, I'll turn the volume up for this too. All right. Here we go. 3, 2, 1, and 0. And we're back here on Middleboro in Review. I am Joey Driscoll, joined by Don, as always. Good morning, Don. You know, he's fiddling with the headphones as we. I have the volume up so you can kind of hear. Our guest here. We have a guest on the show this morning, or the second half of the program this morning. Danny Harmon of the Distant Signal YouTube channel. Good morning, Danny.
Good morning, you guys. How's it going up there in Massachusetts land?
Beautiful.
Yeah, it's nice.
Beautiful day.
Weather's been nice. September's always a good month around here.
Yes.
Cool mornings and not much humidity, and yeah, it's really the pick of the litter when it comes to weather. I think September and October is my.
It's 79 here this morning, and the humidity's about 49%, so that's pretty good for us.
Ah, nice. You guys still got the ACs cranking at full tilt pretty much all the way to October, pretty much, right? November.
You know, Don, I never turn my AC off.
Really?
I never really do. You know, we keep it about 75 or 76 in the house.
Okay.
And the AC will come on in December, January. You know, I do turn it off a little bit in February and March. Those are our cold months.
Right.
Late January and through February, and that's when it had to run it 5 days last year, which is a lot.
Wow. Yeah. Well, at least you have it. Because you never know when things get crazy sometimes. Look what happened in Texas a few years ago when everything froze up,
Oh my gosh, how awful was that?
Yeah, that was just, no one, the grid couldn't handle it.
No one expected that.
No one expected that. But, you got to expect it. Anything can happen.
Oh, yeah, of course.
I mean, anything can happen. We could...
Atlanta had something similar happen.
We haven't had like a 5 below situation in a while, in a few years. So we're due for, a whopper of a winter.
We are.
Soon.
It's been 9 years.
That's the thing about it. You have those mild winters year after year. Sooner or later, that's going to break, and you're going to get a harsh one.
Yeah, no, you got to get the snow, you get the cold, and then everyone's got to be like bumming out because last 2 years it's been pretty mild, not much snow. I know because I'm out in it all the time, and
I'm sure.
But I'd rather tell you the truth. I mean, I'm as far as heat, I really can't handle the heat because I can handle the cold better than the heat. So I guess the good Lord put some sense in me, saying, well, if you handle one real good, you're not going to handle the other two. I mean, I'm not saying I can't handle the heat, but I'd rather not. But in the winter, I could be out there 20 below with no problem. I could care less.
Yeah.
I could care less with the wind and stuff.
You just acclimate to where you are. I'm sure that's how it is.
Yeah.
I complain on my videos a lot, in the wintertime when it gets in the 40s. We were in Ohio a couple of years ago, and I remember we got out of the truck, it was 41 degrees. I thought I was going to die. Because you never bring enough clothes with you for weather like that. And you guys don't even think that's winter.
No. I mean, it's the wind that gets through you.
That's bone chilling to me.
Oh, you had a video where you went up to Pennsylvania, Altoona, up that way, and you said it was cold that time.
Memorial Day up there, and the temperatures were in the 40s.
You mentioned that more than once on the video. You were not happy.
I couldn't believe it. It just never. If I checked the weather, like a smart person would do, I would know that stuff. But you think, oh well, it's Memorial Day. That's the beginning of the summer.
Yeah.
Well, not everywhere it ain't.
Joey used to do filming for the. Were you doing it for the school at the time?
I was doing it for the school.
Yeah, and I told him we had to go to film a baseball game, and I said make sure you bring a coat. And of course, the kid knows better, right? He said it was the coldest day. It was in April too. And, now he always brings a jacket, so I guess you have to. You gotta get a mulligan.
Unless it's
like
July.
Unless it's like July. You're just like me, pal. I don't like bringing a jacket anywhere. I hate it. I hate extra clothes. I like to wear shorts and short sleeve shirts wherever I go. And sometimes you just can't do that.
If you ever rode with me in the oil truck, you'd have to move 15 jackets because I got 15 jackets in my. I got like.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, you just live like that,
Yeah.
When I come up, if it's not the middle of summer, I'm gonna have to bring ski clothes with me.
Nah, September, October's good. You just bring yourself like a flannel, maybe have a jacket on the side. You might be chilly in the morning, but I mean,
it's definitely cold.
As long as we don't get hit with rain, we should be fine. But hey, Danny, what's up with the train world? What's up with the last video was really good. Last couple videos was really good. You got anything going in the works? So
all the buzz down here right now is on those new CSX carriages. I think they're in number 18 or 19 now, somewhere in there. They're done. They just came out with their Seaboard Airline heritage unit, and everybody's hunting for that. It's been bouncing back and forth between Waycross and Augusta the past couple of days, and we're just waiting it to come to Florida here. And if it does, I'm actually going to fill up the truck with $3.50 gasoline and go to wherever it is up there, because that's one that I really want to see. And plus, it's great seeing those heritage units when they're still clean.
Oh yeah. Yeah,
when
I knew.
Dirty, it's kind of like, okay, but and some of them are, some look better than others. You're just talking about mixing up a bunch of different paint jobs, but that CSX knows, and some work and some don't. But my hat's off to the CSX CEO Joe Henrich for being the propellant on this thing, because I just think it's a great publicity program, and I just my hat is really off to those guys for doing that.
Speaking of heritage units, the MBTA has one as well. They got the call it the Cranberry Heritage Unit. It's dark red, and it's really nice.
I saw a picture of that on Facebook here this week.
So does other commuter rails like New York Central's got their black scheme. Pennsylvania Railroads, what's it like a they're not black. What are they, like a gray scheme? Not even a gray, silver screen. And then the Conrails are out there running commuter trains too. The blue Conrail. So I like the idea that they're doing that. You know what's good about that too? Someone looks at those units and think, oh, what's that all about? And then people might dig into some research and find out what the deal is, because the heritage units going back to the predecessors lines. It just gets people thinking, and then history is always something you should learn, and it's always good to know about the railroads, and because they built this country, the canals and the railroads, rivers and railroads. There's a Jim Croce song called "Rivers and Railroads." It's pretty good, But that's how the country was built, and it's just, I think the more people know about how things were built, they might look at things a bit differently, prospectively, and be a little bit more. Think different, I guess.
I'll tell you, I know that most people don't care about history, and those kind of details, but you look at a road map, you look at any road map in America today, in any state, almost any state, and you see the major roads, the U.S. highways, and then the interstate highways that came after them, that are nearby those. There's going to be a railroad main line very close to that, and it's going to parallel it, very close. It's just that way almost everywhere, because that's where they put those things. Because the railroads, when those guys first built those things, in the 1800s, the early 1900s, there was nothing else out there, and that was all government granted land and deals made with states, and they just made those things in the best routes possible. And then when the interstates started getting built in the 1960s, and that's how they platted that stuff out. They said, well, let's go where the railroads were.
Yeah.
And they certainly did.
For instance,
That's definitely true here in Florida.
Yeah,
I-95 parallels exactly the FEC from Jacksonville to Miami.
Right.
The roads to Tampa, the I-4 parallels the Atlantic coastline out of that area over there, Sanford to Tampa, and the I-7 parallels almost exactly the old Seaboard Airline main line from Baldwin to Valdosta, Georgia, down to Fort Myers and Naples and that area. So, those things all have real significance as far as the roads and that were laid out today and what we're living with today.
Not only the interstates per se, but the U.S. routes, because Route 301 goes through Stark, goes through all those, and that flanks. Yeah.
You find that everywhere on the big main lines.
Yep.
You're going to find a U.S. highway that parallels it. U.S. 1 on the east coast of Florida, 301 on the.
Well, that's how they got
here on the west coast.
Think about it. That's how they got the materials in to begin with. To build it.
U.S. 17 is on the old Atlantic coast.
Right.
That comes straight through across there.
How do you think they got
that way in Georgia too, and most of
right.
the states?
That's how they got the material in.
Big railroad line.
They got the material in that way. Think about it. How did they get all the material? They had to go by rail, and then they just took everything off the railroad and they built it. I mean, because they didn't have the adequate roads. You're not running a mixer down some country load back in the 1920s. He had to come by railroads.
There were just no decent roads for that kind
Right.
of stuff.
They had to build out. They had to build out from the railroads.
The system started getting built for real. That was a huge boom to most railroads because they were the ones who brought those materials in that point with concrete aggregates,
Yep.
gravel, and all the asphalt stuff, and bridge components, and all that stuff.
Yeah, and that pretty much that's how they built the roads in a way. It's weird how that you say that. We're talking about that, but these little enclaves, these little villages like Stark and all those towns were little towns, and then that was the hub, and then they worked down the tracks, and they built the right next to it. And that's how the roads were done. That's how the big roads were done for any kind of traveling. And then after that, then you had the roads. But it's funny how that was the stepping stone from those U.S. roads, and they were all next to tracks, like you said. And then the interstates came in later.
In the hilly country, the railroads followed the rivers.
Yep.
So that was already predetermined. So
yeah,
really, that stuff was one part depended on another.
Right, yeah. No, it's important, and then like I said, the heritage units, when people look at them, they'll be able to get thinking and read up on some history, and it put them in a better spot. That's what I think. I mean, that's what they're doing up here with everything. The Cranberry, where's the Cranberry? He said, Joey. Yeah.
The Cranberry Heritage Unit. Yeah.
What line is that on up here?
I think it was in the middle of the state somewhere. I think. Not exactly sure where.
Oh, right.
But they also had recently cars from CT Rail and also from Amtrak on MBTA cars as well. I saw that recently over the past couple of weeks.
Yeah, we
online.
We got our cars back from CT Rail. MBTA leased some to CT Rail for 3 years, and then we got it back, and right down the street, right in Rochester, Middleboro line is where they put all that. It's a big yard down there and facility down there for MBTA. It's huge.
Yeah.
It's huge. So it's that's where you see the CT Rail cars and stuff like that. But it's interesting to have. Gotta love paint schemes. Gotta love livery. It just makes a train, in my opinion.
Yeah.
So, do you have anything? You just waiting for those trains to come through to stop another video? Is that what you're saying, Danny?
Well, I'm working on a video now. I intend to post it today, as a matter of fact, as soon as I get the on-camera portions done.
Yeah.
Which will be this morning, as soon as I hang up with you guys.
Yeah.
I had a question from a viewer a few months back, and he wanted to know what control points, distance signals, and holdouts were, and I kind of decided to take a trip, take a day-long rail fan trip, and along the way I kind of explained what those things are while chasing trains, and I think it's a nice little video that kind of came out good. And I just went all over the place, went up the S line to Jacksonville, but a friend of mine, Gordon Deason, he called me and he said, "Hey, I hear you're out, on the railroad today. If you could swing over to Orange Park, I got something for you." And so I went over there and we had lunch, and in the parking lot, came back out of the parking lot, and he had two big old manual block signs for me. So I'm adding those to the fence. Actually, they won't fit on the fence. I'm going to have to put them on the gates because they're so big.
Oh, yeah.
But it had those. So, and I've been working on that video now for 2 weeks, and I've just been extremely busy at work.
Right.
So I haven't had a lot of chance to work on it, but I've really focused on it the last 48 hours. So hopefully I'll get that guy posted by sometime this morning, maybe this afternoon.
Oh, that'd be awesome. I can watch that later. I've been kind of jonesing for a Danny Harmon video lately. But I mean, but the videos you come out are really quality as far as narration and everything like that. And Orange Park, and I definitely do my homework and I remember stuff. Isn't that the area where you filmed some vintage cars there that were parked over there? Are they still there?
One time there was a little rail yard there, a little 3-track rail yard in downtown Orange Park, right next to the old Atlantic Coastline Depot.
Yeah.
And they, a funeral director up out of Fernandina Beach, Jack Hurd, he bought that property with the track still on it. And he also bought a rail car that he refurbished way back in the 1980s. And it was the Georgia 300. I don't know if you're familiar with that car or not, but that car, he outfitted it in such a way that in 1992, I believe it was, might have been 88, but I think it was 92. The campaign people of George H.W. Bush got wind of it. They wanted to do a whistle-stop campaign trip. Those were really big still back then. And they found Jack's address and all of his information, and they wanted to lease the Georgia 300. Well, the Secret Service came in. They outfitted it with communication, bulletproof gadgetry, and they even had a satellite dish on top of the darn thing. And they used that for, I think, about 2 weeks, making a campaign swing through the East on the Georgia 300. And George H.W. would get out there on that back platform and make his speeches in the little towns. And it was really a cool thing. Unfortunately, it didn't get him reelected, but that was where Bill Clinton won that election in 1992. But when Bill Clinton ran for re-election in, what was that, 96, he used the Georgia 300 on his own whistle-stop campaign.
I love it.
Anyway,
he
my
used the same.
point was that Jack Hurd
Yeah.
used to keep the Georgia 300 there in Orange Park at his little rail yard, and there were a number of other private car owners, people in the AFRICO group, the American Association of Private Rail Car Owners. They, private, not only rail cars are very expensive, but they're also very expensive to store. You got to have someplace to put them. And so when Jack opened that up, there were quite a few. I think at one time there were like 8, 10, or a dozen cars there, of all ilks. Just some beautiful, beautiful cars in there.
What video was that?
Orange Park.
What video was that you featured those cars, you know? Which one was that? Do you remember?
I think, I was trying to remember that this morning. I believe it was one that I did called the Florida Mainline Loop Part 2 or Revisited or something like that. It was a few years back. I remember shooting it in the middle of the hot summer. I can't say for sure what video that was, but it was...
Well, when you have 300 videos, it's tough to think. You must be past 300. Huh?
Nah, it's 200 and something at this point.
Yeah, 290 or something, you know?
Yeah.
I bet it's a lot.
Yeah.
I remember, I'm pretty sure I've seen them all. I still look around and find ones that I've never seen, but I think I've seen them 3 or 4 times over, every single one of them.
That's the great thing about having a catalog like this, because I get emails every day almost from people who just discovered the channel and are really excited about seeing it, and they say, I just can't get over your videos, and I can't get over how many there are. I've just started watching them. I hope to work my way through them, and it's really, really neat to hear from people who are just now discovering the thing. Yeah, I think this video, I'm looking through them now, and I think this video was called the Florida Mainline Loop 2017. I am going to scrub through this right now to see if that, oh, there it is. There it is. It's on the Florida Main Line Loop 2017 at about 8:48. That's when I'm in that place in Orange Park.
Florida
Yeah,
Loop. All right.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Florida Main Line Loop. That's where, in 2000, I had the idea, me and two friends, Mike Woodruff and another fellow out of Sarasota, we all got together one day, and they all drove up here, and we climbed in my red Expedition, and we drove up the S-Line, starting at Vitus Junction there near Zephyr Hills. We drove all the way up, stopping for all the trains, and in those days, there were like 30 trains a day out there on the S-Line, and just buku trains in Jacksonville. Went up the S-Line to Baldwin. We went east into Jacksonville and shot a bunch of trains there. Went down to Orange Park, shot stuff. Then we came down the A-Line over on the what we call the Sanford side, close to the East Coast. The A-Line, Green Cove Springs, Palatka, Satsuma, and down that way through DeLand and Sanford and Orlando and Kissimmee and Lakeland. I mean, we just stopped all day. That was a long day. Those guys got here at 5 in the morning. We didn't get home until 12 midnight that night.
Well, you kind of have to. You kind of have to with the footage you got. I mean,
25 years younger then, and it wasn't.
Yeah, but I mean,
a strain on me.
Yeah, Joey says 1 minute. So
1 minute, yes.
He's giving me
so
looks over here.
Danny, how can people get a hold of you?
Well, they can watch on YouTube. It's youtube.com/Distant Signal. And you can follow my Facebook page at Railfan Danny. One word, Railfan Danny. So that's the easy way to get a hold of me.
All right, and you get an email too, right, Danny? I mean, usually.
I do, but you know what? That's not a great way to find me because I don't check it as often as I should.
Right.
So.
No, just check the videos. He tells you enough anyway on the videos how to get a hold of him and whatnot.
Yeah, Facebook page is really the best way to get a hold of him.
Yeah. That's great. Thank you for calling, Danny.
Thank you so much,
Don't
Danny.
mind, just stay on the phone real quick after. I'm just going to talk to you for a minute and then whatever.
All right, you guys. Well, have a great day.
All right. Bye-bye, everybody. And we'll be back with another show next week. We'll have, I think, Dr. Edward Fischero on.
Yeah, I think Dr. Ed's going to be on next week. And you got Eric Dunn tomorrow.
Eric Dunn tomorrow,
doing
yes.
sports. So that's great.
Absolutely. So it's going to be a fun show.
And thank you,
fun
Danny,
week.
for calling in.
And thank you, Danny, for calling in. All right, we'll be back next week with another edition of Middleboro Review. Bye-bye, everybody.
Danny.
Yeah.
Yeah, hey. Yeah. Thank you for calling. Great conversation on that. You know?